Welcome to the Mind's Eye. This is Benjamin Kilbourne, and this is the second in our new series. In the introductory program, we explored the role of the senses in thinking and imagining, and focused on the series of unicorn tapestries in the Musée de Cluny in Paris. When we use all our senses together, we necessarily imagine as well as perceive with all of them. Sight, smell, taste, hearing, and touch all work together to help us think about what we experience. Now, people who are traumatized or severely anxious often find that their sensory organization is affected. Conversely, a sense of joie de vivre and palpable pleasure in living awakens all of our senses and enlivens our experience. Now, today we will be concerned with dreams. When we think of the mind's eye, dreams and dreaming bubble up as rather important experiences. In dreams, although the sensate world is literally asleep, our imagination comes to life and draws upon the sensory experience, both remembered and present. We can find ourselves dreaming of a rushing stream if our toilet is leaking, or of a torrid greenhouse if we sweat beneath too many covers. Dreams transform our experience and allow us to think about how we imagine. They bolster creative potential, serve as sources of inspiration, sometimes lead to scientific breakthroughs, and open up vistas in our lives. However, in our Western rationalist tradition, the bridges between waking and sleeping, between consciousness and dreaming, have been damaged and broken, so that dreams are often not given credence. Instead, they are dismissed as sheer flights of fancy of no worth, or worse, seen as unwanted distractions from the practical chores of life. In the ancient Near East, Greece and Rome, by contrast, dreams were seen as the windows of the soul. Dreams allowed the soul to look out beyond the sensory world and allowed for contact between this world and the next, between mortals and divine beings. You will remember that the Greek word psyche, from which the terms psychology, psychiatry, and psychoanalysis are derived, means breath and life, and is sometimes translated as soul. For the ancient world, waking thought could not provide the soul with windows, an ability to see into the beyond. The approach to dreams in the ancient world directly affected conceptions of thinking and the functions of thought, and it is directly pertinent for our inquiry into the mind's eye today. When dreams are given value as springs of imagination and thought, reason, will, and science shrink correspondingly in importance. We will today focus on one aspect of beliefs in dreams and dream interpretation and their functions in ancient Greece and Rome, namely the cult of Asclepius, together with the practice of incubation or the sleeping in sacred places in order to have curative dreams. Our medical and psychiatric tradition was born from the earth and caves of Chthonian cults of the dead, which themselves gave birth to Asclepius, the god of healing, who practiced his art through dreams. More than 250 temple complexes, some astonishingly extensive, are known to us from ancient Greek. In the early Christian period, the cult of Asclepius was the foremost rival of Christianity, and even today, there are thousands of sanctuaries throughout the Mediterranean where incubation continues to be practiced. Now, Asclepius. Although nobody knows where the name Asclepius comes from, some have speculated that it derives from Epiates, meaning gentleness. In the myth, Asclepius, son of the god Apollo and the mortal nymph Coronis, grew up in Tricca. Coronis was the daughter of Phrygius, the king of Thessaly, part of what today is Turkey. Pregnant by Apollo with Asclepius, Coronis wanted to marry Ischys, as a result of which Artemis, Apollo's twin sister, murdered her and placed her body upon a funeral pyre. As Coronis's body started to burn, Apollo swooped down, snatched the child Asclepius from his mother's womb, as his Aryan section, and handed Asclepius to the centaur Chiron to be educated. Now, the name Chiron is derived from the Greek word Chiro meaning of the hand, since Chiron lent a hand to mankind and was known for his wisdom and his knowledge of the healing arts. Chiron was half man, half corpse, and conjoined the discrepant realms of living and dead. His epithets, the epithets of Asclepius, snake and dog, refer to accompanying snakes and dogs, the snake associated with rebirth and the dog with sniffing and shams and illusions, presumably a reference to feigned illness. Now, according to Ovid and other people, it was Chiron who taught Asclepius surgery, the use of drugs, love potions, fertility drugs, and procedures, and incantations. So proficient in the art of healing was Asclepius that he incurred the wrath of Zeus, who, infuriated that he helped humankind by bringing the dead to life, struck him with a thunderbolt. Asclepius, however, rose from the dead, taking his place as the most powerful of the Chthonian gods, the gods of the caves and underground places deep in the earth. His snakes were the symbols of transformation and rebirth. Snakes shed their skins, and of underground places, as well as phallic symbols of life and fertility. Now, Asclepius had 4 daughters who often accompanied him in his dreamed ministrations. They were Panacea, the goddess of health, who was associated with the prevention of disease, Hygeia, the goddess of healing, who was associated with its treatment. These 2 daughters have given their names to our terms Panacea and Hygiene. Then there were 2 other daughters, Iaso, healing, and Epione, the gentle-handed. Asclepius also had 3 sons, Telephoros, a patron of rehabilitation, Machaon, and Podocailenes, the patrons respectively of surgery and internal medicine. So you have a whole family acting on behalf of afflicted dreamers, all combining their specialities as multi-specialty healers in a group practice. Now, each temple had an abaton, the sacred place designed for sleeping in curative dreams, which was equipped with a kline, a reclining place, sometimes a cot, from which we get our word clinic. The word incubation, or the sleeping in a sacred place in order to have a curative dream, is derived from the Latin in, meaning on, and cubare, to lie down. In fact, these sanctuaries of Asclepius were the first hospitals with specialized spaces set aside for the sick who awaited curative dreams brought by Asclepius. But more than that, these hospitals were vast, vast complexes, often comprising thousands of people, including the families of the sick, athletic events, and spaces set aside for the arts, for theater and for music. By the millions, people have flocked to these temples to feel more alive. The cults of Asclepius spread from Tricca in Thessaly, today Turkey, to the Peloponnese, Epidaurus in the northeastern Peloponnese, and the island of Kos. Kos happens to be the home of the famous physician Hippocrates, who was a devotee of Asclepius. From there, they spread throughout Greece and Asia Minor. Now, the most prominent sites today are those at Epidaurus in mainland Greece, Pergamon in what is today Turkey, and Labina in southern Crete. By the latter half of the 6th century BC, all physicians were increasingly referred to as Asclepiads. Aristotle refers to Hippocrates as the leader of the Asclepiads. Now you'll remember that Hippocrates, whose dates are roughly 460 to 377 BC, is called the father of medicine. And the Hippocratic Oath includes the lines, I swear by Apollo the physician, Asclepius, Hygeia, Panacea, and all the gods and goddesses, making them my witness. Into whatever houses I may enter, I will come for the benefit of the sick. And also the oath contains the famous lines, and above all, do no harm. Now, this is an oath that all physicians have to take, even today. Perhaps because of his sympathy for human actions, Asclepius is not referred to as Theos, or Greek for God, but rather as a daemon, from which we get our word demon or spirit. Now, it's interesting to note that Justin and the apologists for early Christianity suggested that Jesus was following in the footsteps of Asclepius, another mortal who was put to death. He writes, "When we say also that Jesus Christ was crucified and died, and rose again, and ascended into heaven, we propound nothing new and different from what you believe regarding Asclepius, who, though he was a great physician, was struck by a thunderbolt, and so ascended to heaven. Also, because of his reputation for kindness and his willingness to treat anyone who is suffering, and not only the wealthy, Asclepius became a target for Christian bishops who did their best to extirpate his cult. Theophilus, in particular, made a point of destroying his temples." Now, for the question of Asclepius, medicine, and the caduceus. Asclepius is frequently shown holding a long wooden staff around which is entwined a snake, an allusion to the cult out of which he grew. The staff of Asclepius, entwined with a serpent, has become the symbol of the medical profession, and today is known as the caduceus. The caduceus has a long history, the origins of which date back over 4,000 years. The first explicit visual association of the caduceus and medicine can be seen on 3rd century AD oculist stamps. Sometimes the staff with one snake, the symbol of Asclepius, is confused with the staff with 2 snakes, the symbol of Hermes or Mercury, the messenger of the gods. The confusion is, however, understandable, although certain authors have tried to say that there is no confusion and ought not to be, since Asclepius with his accompanying snakes was known for his prowess in bringing the dead to life, and the 2 snakes of Hermes or Mercury were also attributes of the messenger of the god, who was a go-between. In Greek myth, the caduceus of Hermes was given him by Apollo in exchange for his lyre, allowing him with impunity to conduct the souls of the dead to the world below. Now, cures at Epidaurus. From the beginnings of the cult in Epidaurus, Kos, and temples of devotees of Asclepius spread throughout Greece and much of Asia Minor, as I said, and thence to Egypt. Even Alexander the Great was a devotee of Asclepius. The sick slept in the Abaton, awaiting the visit of Asclepius in dreams. When Asclepius appeared, he sometimes gave instructions to be carried out upon awakening, or he would intervene himself by wielding his knife or sending a sacred serpent to lick the afflicted parts. Now, one woman, Clio, was pregnant for 5 years, slept in the Abaton, and after dreaming of Asclepius, gave birth to a son who immediately after birth walked. And he walked about with his mother. A second case is of a man whose fingers were paralyzed, slept in the Abaton, and dreamed that Asclepius stretched out all his fingers, and upon awakening, he was cured. Another inscription from the temple of Epidaurus describes a blind woman who dreamed that Asclepius cut the ball of her injured eye, poured in a curative drug, and she awoke cured, as did several other patients. In yet another case, a man of Torone who had been tricked into swallowing leeches by his dreadful mother-in-law, who had put them in a brew of honey and wine, dreamed of Asclepius and awoke cured with the leeches in his hand. Lame men walked after dreaming of Asclepius, and barren women bore children, In still other inscriptions, abscesses were operated on in dreams, headaches cured, arrow wounds healed, paralysis relieved. Now, in this, the second program in our new series on the mind's eye, we've been concerned with dreams and incubation in sacred temples in the ancient Greek and Roman world. Now, it seems to me striking that the origins of our medical profession are to be found in dreams, and that the first hospitals were temples and temple complexes. More striking still, the very symbol of the medical profession, the caduceus, has been directly influenced by the staff and snake of Asclepius, who appeared to the sick in dreams, either curing them directly or instructing the patient or others on how to do so. In our last program, we spoke about the importance of the Greek concept of psyche, or breath, for therapy and for psychology and psychoanalysis. Dreams breathe life into our minds and bring us alive to the worlds beyond our senses. It is perhaps not surprising that help with bodily ailments should come from dreams, and that dreams should be associated with souls and breath. Dreams are the window of the soul, so goes the ancient saying, and they are the portals of help and healing in the cults of Asclepius, associated with the emergence of the medical profession itself. It was the explicit aim of the sanctuaries of Asclepius to restore the harmony of the body and soul, soma kai psyche. Correspondingly, it was the disharmony of body and soul that was by Plato and other Greeks believed to cause illness. In one of the most influential books of psychology and psychoanalysis in the 20th century, Freud's 1900-1902 interpretation of dreams, Freud presents himself implicitly as Asclepius, the godlike figure who heals through dreams and even makes use of the Greek kline, the reclining place in the Abaton, as the analytic couch. Freud's emphasis on the unconscious was predicated on the importance of dreams in treatment, a direct throwback to the cults of Asclepius, although without its theater, music, and involvement of families. Our mind's eye sees through imagining the working of the senses while sensing, and also sees through dreams. In subsequent programs, we will expand our inquiry into dreams and healing by taking up the diaries of Aulus Aristides, who for some has been dismissed as, quote unquote, a brain-sick noodle, but who has left us astonishing accounts of incubation practices. We'll also extend our inquiry by speaking of incubation practices throughout the Mediterranean, including Morocco, where I schlepped about trying to understand how dream cures actually work. And we will take up actual techniques of dream interpretation and their role in therapy and psychoanalysis, together with discussions of the cultural contexts of dream telling and dream interpretation in our Judeo-Christian tradition, in Mesopotamia, in ancient Rome, and also in other cultural traditions such as those of the American Plains Indians or Siberian shamanism. I hope you will be with us then.